be like to be a Hope student, and it gets you excited to know that you have a place here at Hope, and that we want you and that you belong here at Hope. To give you some insight into the coming series, or to the series, is tonight, like I mentioned, was with current students and young alums. On the 13th, we'll be with faculty, and our provost will be joining us then. The 14th will be with our Boerigter Center for Calling and Career, which is a center that comes along students at Hope and helps them along their journey of discernment and then ultimately landing jobs come graduation. Director Sean Colburn will be presenting on the 14th. The 15th will be with our off-campus studies program and some students who have studied abroad. And so it'll be a panel just like tonight, and a great opportunity for students who are interested in studying abroad and traveling, have a travel bug. It'd be a great time for you to join in and learn about that. And then the 16th is for you parents who didn't forget about you. We have current parents of Hope students, and their son or daughter will be joining them as well for that. The 20th is a unique event that we have lined up. April 20th is going to be Dutch Blitz. Now, the name gives no representation of what the actual event is, but this is a great opportunity for our admitted seniors who are considering Hope, students who have decided to be here at Hope Met's Fall, or students who are still considering. But this is an opportunity for them to come and meet other students that are in the same shoes that they are. We'll be inviting them through Zoom to that event. To get signed up for that event, go ahead and fill out the Google form that we sent out in emails. If you don't know where that Google form is or didn't see that, feel free to reach out to our office or to your admissions rep. And we'd love the help and get you signed up for that. As far as tonight's schedule, we are going to spend a little time here. In a little bit, we'll bring our panelists onto the screen to join me. And we're going to hear from current students and young alums and their Hope experience and how Hope has impacted their life now as a student, and then after even, and how their experience shaped them now that they're post-grad. And then later we'll have the honor to hear from President Matt Scogin and his journey here at Hope, a little bit about his Hope story, as well as a special message that he has for you seniors out there tonight watching this. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome our first panelist to the screen with me tonight, Kennedy. Kennedy is a senior here at Hope, so she's leaving us here soon, which we're sad about, but Kennedy, why don't you go ahead and take a second to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello everybody. So like Rourke said, my name is Kennedy and I'm a senior, which I'm also sad that my time here is wrapping up. I'm from Washington State originally, so I kind of made a big jump across the states for college. And I am studying music as a major and ministry as a minor. So I'll just tell you a couple of things that I've been part of since my time at Hope. So kind of combining those things that I'm studying. I've spent a lot of 3 years of my time on Hope College's worship team, which leads our campus in worship at chapel Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then also Sunday evening at the gathering. And then this year as a senior, I've had the honor to lead one of those teams, which has been a super amazing experience. I've also been a tour guide for 3 years, which has been an awesome on-campus job. And I did that full-time as a tour guide one summer. I've also been involved in Dance Marathon numerous years. I've been a CASA tutor, which is an after-school kids program. And then I've been involved through being a music major in a bunch of different music ensembles, one of which is called the Chapel Choir. And through that, I actually had the opportunity to do a quick May trim in South Africa and study abroad through the music department. So I've had kind of a foot in the music department and the campus ministries department for most of my time.
Awesome. Thank you. Second, we'll bring in Noah. Noah is a current tour guide. All of our current students joining us tonight are tour guides in our office. Noah is also a summer tour guide, just like Kennedy. Noah, go ahead, man, and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Noah. I'm a sophomore from Kansas, so it's about a 13-hour drive or so up there. I'm a psychology major, biology minor, and I'm on the pre-dental track, so trying to go that route. I'm involved with a lot of different things too. It's really easy to get involved at Hope. Sometimes can be overwhelming because there's a lot of stuff you can do, but intramurals are probably my favorite. just because there's a different range of different sports you can be involved in. Even if you're terrible at them, you can still play, and it's really fun just to go mess around with your friends late at night. So that's been good. Also, I'm in a couple clubs. So I'm in the Outdoor Adventure Club and the Pre-Dental Club. So Outdoor Adventure Club basically just goes and does stuff outside, which is a ton of fun. A ton of people are in that. So another great way to meet people. And then the Pre-Dental Club is just kind of like preparing you for the application and what you need to know when you're applying to dental school, just so there's not anything thrown at you that you weren't expecting. So that's been super helpful. Super close group of people in that as well. I also work at admissions, like Rourke said, and then worked last summer, which is a ton of fun. The staff is super sweet. So that's been good. And then I also volunteer weekly off campus at a place for special needs kids. And then I also coached middle school basketball at Holland Christian last year too, which was pretty sweet to get involved off campus a little bit. And then school in itself is kind of a full-time activity too. So that keeps you pretty busy, but yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah.
And then third is Reagan. Reagan is also a current tour guide, like I said, but Reagan, go ahead and take a second to introduce yourself. Might be muted.
There we go. Good. Okay. I'm a junior here at Hope. I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan, so I'm only about an hour away from Hope. I'm a transfer student, so I transferred in after the first semester of my freshman year, but I've been here ever since and I love it. I'm double majoring in social work and psychology. I'm on the pre-law track, but nothing's decided yet. There's a lot up in the air with that. I'm a member of Greek Life, and so that takes up a lot of my time. There's a lot of stuff that goes on within the sorority, a lot of leadership positions and volunteering that goes on, so that takes up a bunch of my time. I've held a lot of on-campus jobs, so again, I'm a tour guide and will hopefully get to work this summer, dependent on this, but I've also worked in the business office right now, doing some office assistant stuff. And then I've been involved with a lot of the major volunteering events here on campus. Dance Marathon is a big one. I've done that for 3 years. CASA and a bunch of stuff within the community of Holland as well.
Yeah, we're hoping that this all gets, calms down soon so Noah and Reagan can join us this summer full-time for staff. Now to introduce our first young alum, Rainey. Rainey's going to join us here. Hey, Rainey, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Rainey. I'm a 2017 graduate of Hope College. I majored in chemistry and Spanish while I was at Hope. And for my 2 gap years post-college, I was actually a flight attendant for American Airlines. And then currently I am a first-year medical student at the University of Michigan.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. And then finally, we're going to introduce Roberto to the screen. Roberto's going to pop up here in a second. There he is. Awesome. Roberto, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, man?
Yes, I'd love to. Hi, everyone. My name is Roberto. As Rourke said, I am a 2019 graduate. So just this past May, I studied business and communication. And although I find myself here in West Bloomfield, Michigan now because of everything going on with this pandemic, I live in Holland, and that's where I am working. I work for a company called Herman Miller. I'm a sales associate there. Yeah, I was involved in a lot at Hope. Can't believe it's already been almost a year since graduation, but I'm sure some of those things will pop up during the Q&A and whatnot, so happy to share.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, like Roberto mentioned, as we go throughout this panel tonight and event tonight, below is the comment section. Please feel free to leave any questions about anything that our panelists talk about or anything that comes to your mind as you're watching this and you like answers to. If we aren't able to get to all the questions tonight, we definitely will follow up with you. Or if a question comes later, that happens to me all the time, then please reach out to your admissions rep or the admissions office, and we'd love to answer any question. So let's just jump into this. We're going to start with our current students. When we talk to seniors, like seniors are in high school right now, the seniors in high school right now, they're thinking a lot about, how do I make friends? How do I get involved in college? all you guys sound like you were really involved in college or during your Hope years. So one, how did you get involved freshman year? And then what's your main encouragement for freshmen coming in next fall?
I can kind of kick us off. So one great way to get involved right at the beginning of freshman year during move-in weekend and everything, there's an event called the Activities Fair that happens in the Pine Grove. So every group and club and organization that we have on campus sets up tables in the Pine Grove, which is kind of our quad center of campus outdoor area. And you can go around and put your name down on basically any email list, which you will then get 75 emails a week until you learn to unsubscribe from the things that you don't choose to join. But it's a great way to find out just what we have to offer. And so they encourage all freshmen to go check that out. And then another thing that I did is within my residence hall, and you will hear this from a lot of students, is trying to maintain sort of an open door policy, or if you're in a cluster like I was in Dykstra, which is an all freshman girls building, is to hang out in the common area spaces because you're going to hear from other people that they're going to do things. And it's trying to take advantage of the things that other people are doing and getting involved with them. I think if I had to give one piece of encouragement to incoming freshmen, it would be to, even if you are not a naturally outgoing person, to challenge yourself to put yourself out there. Because the beauty of move-in weekend is that everybody around you is feeling the exact same thing. Everybody's nervous. Everybody is anxious to find friends and figure out how they fit into this community. So if you can challenge yourself to be the first one to say hello or to ask the person across the hall to go grab lunch, like everybody needs somebody to eat a meal with. So I would just challenge you to be the first one to introduce yourself and to put yourself out there.
I can follow up on that. First, I second everything she said. That great advice. But also the first week while you're there, they have orientation, which basically just go out and play a bunch of different games and do icebreakers, and you're with a group of like 10 or 12 people. And some of the events might not seem as interesting to you, but I think just go to them. And other people might be in the same boat where they might not want to go. But just going to something or going to a club that you might not be interested in can introduce you to different people. And I think that even if you don't end up joining the club, you can still make more friends. So just like she said, try new things is probably the best way. But also there's tons of events on campus. Your dorm will put on a ton of events. So just go to them. They always end up being fun. There's always free food most of the time, so that's always good. But there's just lots of ways to get involved. So I would just say do that.
All right, I'll go next. I had a completely different experience freshman year than the rest of these people since I transferred in halfway through the year. So I came to Hope in January. And so all of the orientation activities and move in that they got to have to kind of find their place at Hope, I didn't get to experience. And that was something I really struggled with at my other school, was trying to find friends, find that community. I was at a Big Ten school, and so there was tons of people, but finding friends and finding my spot there seemed nearly impossible to me. So when I transferred in, I was really nervous that was going to happen to me again. And I didn't really have a plan going in. I was really nervous that everybody had already made their friends. Luckily, though, I was placed in Dykstra Hall, and that's a great place. Even if you are a female girl and you don't live in Dykstra, just go to Dykstra. I just would sit in the cluster setting, which is just the common space, and I got to know a ton of people right away. They welcomed me right in. Rush was also the weekend that I got to Hope, which is the process of joining a sorority. And I really wasn't planning on joining a sorority. I just thought that would be a great way to meet some of the girls here on campus so that I could get involved. And both Dykstra and the Rush process helped me a lot, find my spot immediately. So that transition into college, even halfway through the year, was kind of seamless for me.
That's awesome. So just like Reagan, I was also a transfer student and had very similar experiences coming in. And just like all you guys said, be willing to say yes and do new things, challenge yourself, push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Absolutely. I would encourage any of our freshmen that's here to remember that. These guys have walked the walk just like you're about to. So wise words to live by. Next is we're going to move to our alumni for a question for you guys. Now looking back at your Hope experience, if you could do it all over again, what is one thing that you would absolutely do again? And what's one thing that you wish you had done or had participated in during your college years?
Okay, well, I'll get started with that one. I guess one thing that I would have to do again, I was an athlete actually while I was at Hope. So it is very possible to be on the pre-med track and also do sports and study abroad. I was on the women's lacrosse team when I was at Hope, and I can say that they absolutely became my best friends. I may be like 2 years out of graduation, but literally last week, I just had a virtual meetup with all my teammates, past and present, that are still on the team and graduating seniors actually. So it was really cool to have that bond still from when I was a student and all of us being around. I guess one thing that I wish I was a part of, you'll probably hear about this, but like the pool at Hope, it's kind of a tradition. And it's like a long-standing tradition, like a giant tug of war, basically. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a big deal at Hope. And it's like based on when you graduate, odd year versus even year, which is super cool. I'm odd year still. I would have loved to be a part of that tradition, but unfortunately I didn't get to. But as an alumni, that's something that, yeah, I definitely would have done.
Cool. I guess I'm up next. I'm glad Randy mentioned the poll, because that was going to be one of my two things I was going to say for things I'm glad I did. I did do the poll freshman and sophomore year, and then I had the privilege of coaching my junior and senior year. If you've got 5 minutes and you happen to be on YouTube, which I doubt you'll ever be on during this quarantine, but search Hope College, the poll, PULL. And just take 2 to 5 minutes to watch some content that's on YouTube, because it is awesome and unreal. So I did that, and super glad I did it. And then the other experience I had at Hope that I would recommend 10 out of 10, anyone at least look into, is study abroad. I went to Spain my second semester junior year, and it was incredible. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I wish I could go back. Hopefully I can go back one day. But I spent 4 months there, and it was incredible. I mean, truly, you had your ups and downs, being abroad and in a new place you're not familiar with. But overall, I grew so much as a person, had a ton of fun, and now I have a network of people that I met that go to schools from all over the country, and I'm still close with them. And then for one thing I wish I would have had done is probably take courses that weren't aligned with what I was going to go into post-grad. So I majored in business and then minored in communication. And I think honestly, if I were to do it again, I would just pick one major, and instead of minoring in one core discipline such as communication, I would have taken a variety of different courses. Looking back, I would have loved to take more courses in psychology, philosophy, art, theater. I mean, that's one of the great aspects about Hope being a liberal arts college, that you kind of are in a way forced to take courses like that to fill those requirements. But if I were to do it again, I would definitely take more courses in areas that I was just interested in and wanted to know more about.
Yeah, definitely being, myself looking back, I would have loved the study abroad. So guys, everyone watching this is like the one time in your life in college where you totally can get up and leave and travel abroad. So I totally encourage it if you are interested. So back to the current students. So think back, to before your freshman year, and think to yourself, that freshman thought, get yourself back in your freshman person. What's something that you wish you knew that you didn't, now looking back, going into freshman year?
Yeah, this is it's kind of an interesting thing to think about, trying to remember that far back. But I think I wish that I had known that I didn't need to put so much pressure on myself freshman year to have it all figured out. You kind of have the tendency to worry about, what am I going to major in? What's my career going to be? Are the things that I'm choosing to get involved in this first week, are they going to be the things that get me to where I want to be senior year? And now looking back, you have 3 years at least beyond freshman year to figure all that stuff out. And the great thing about the way Hope works is freshman year, you're taking things like your first year seminar class, which is just trying to get you incorporated into college life. The point really of freshman year is to start making friends, to start figuring out who you are on your own apart from your parents, and gaining that independence and figuring out how college works. So while some of these classes that you're taking freshman year very well might lead you to what you want your major to be, if you don't have an idea coming in, everything has the potential to change. And so I think if I could go back and tell incoming freshman year me that there's not as much pressure as I think there is, it would have just given me a little more freedom to, like Roberta was saying, try new things, sign up for different classes that I was just simply curious about. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
I'll go next. So kind of 3 quick things. First is the food is super good. So I was not prepared for that, but there's so many options. You can eat healthy, you can splurge, you can have dessert at every meal if you want. So that's something that I kind of wish I knew, but also didn't. So that's been a blessing. And then second, I would say reach out to your professors and reach out to your advisors if you have questions. So first year, if you haven't declared a major and your current advisor isn't very knowledgeable in your specific field you want to go to, reach out to professors that would know. And I know that they'd be willing to meet with you and talk through different career paths or what classes you need to take. Everyone's just so welcoming and they want to see you succeed. So I think just use that resource there, that's available. And then lastly, another thing that I wasn't really prepared for is how much like online format there's going to be and how often you need to check your emails. In high school, we didn't have to do that as much. And now in college, I know you'll get like 5 or 10 different emails a day, and sometimes hard to stay on top of. But just constantly checking that is good. And then just being prepared for online format for different classes and how they deliver information to you. So yeah.
All right. I think the biggest thing that was a shock to me when I was a freshman was just kind of how difficult the transition process would be. It's just a lot of changes all at once. And that can be really scary, or you could have a lot of fun with it, and everybody experiences it a little different. But freshman year, especially that first semester, is just like notoriously difficult. And I think it's really easy to self-isolate yourself. And so doing things like locking yourself in your room and not like interacting with the people in your hall, going home on the weekends, not getting involved with stuff, not going to the library with your friends. Those things are really going to make your time not super fun. You're not going to like college if you don't really see what like the college has to offer. So even if it's a little uncomfortable for you and you don't know the people, just really make sure you immerse yourself in the school, get involved with stuff, don't overcommit. It's a delicate balance, but definitely make sure you're doing everything you can to really get a feel for what it's like to be a student there. And that second semester, things will really start to turn around for you.
Awesome. All right, alumni. Now this is gonna be fun because I get to ask President Scogin this later as well. But now being in your post-grad years, how have you seen your Hope experience help shape you, career and personally?
Okay. I can definitely say Hope has been a large part of me getting to where I am today. As I mentioned, like I kind of had a roundabout way of getting to medical school. It was my plan all along. I was pre-med at Hope from the beginning, but I did major in chemistry and Spanish. And I would say at Hope, you have that flexibility, as some people mentioned, to do things that are kind of outside the scope, like adding a Spanish major. I took a lot of courses in computer science too. So I ended up actually like being a teaching assistant in computer science. My Spanish major also led me to being a flight attendant. I was able to, in my gap years between college and medical school, because I wanted to become a bilingual physician. It was a way to travel. I also studied abroad. So while I was in college, I was able to go to Spain for a semester and India for a summer. And I would just say like all of those experiences wrapped up together when I got to my medical school interviews, that's what they asked me about was, oh, tell me about being a teaching assistant for computer science. Tell me about being a flight attendant and being a bilingual flight attendant. What was that like? And how is that going to play into medicine? And again, if I went somewhere else, your like pre-med tracks are a little bit more rigid, whereas at Hope, it was like create your own adventure, which was super helpful. And I guess personally speaking, I have built some absolutely fabulous relationships with the professors at Hope. I still talk to my organic chemistry professor, Dr. Johnson. Love him so much. He was actually one of my letter writers for medical school. And I still remember senior year of college walking into his office being like, I need a letter of recommendation. And he's like, I have been waiting for this day. Like, I want to write this for you. And again, I know that letter was great and a big part of helping me professionally develop, and just great people at Hope. That's all I can say. So it's definitely, Hope has been a big part of where, like, why I am where I am and like who I am today.
This is a great question, and I'll start with from a career perspective. And the first word that came to my mind was accountability. In that, I think Hope, the professors at Hope and the faculty at Hope really walk this perfect line of keeping you accountable and wanting to see you succeed, but also making sure that you're keeping yourself accountable. I know freshman year there were many instances where one of the aspects too is you got to think, in high school you're in class almost all day and then you're at home very little. And in college that's flipped. You're in class Monday through Friday, very little, maybe a couple hours a day, and the rest of the day is yours. And I remember my freshman year, my Tuesdays and Thursdays, I had one class. It started at 11, and that was it. And I thought that was righteous. That was so cool. And after sleeping in and not getting homework done and hanging out with friends all day, I realized that was just a bad play. So Hope really prepared me in the sense of, as I matriculated through to senior year, keeping myself accountable with assignments, and that absolutely translates to what I'm doing now in the professional world, if you will, where I've got a deadline on Friday and my boss isn't keeping tabs on me. He'll check in on Monday, let me know what I got to do. And Friday, I better have a report or a PowerPoint deck. I got to have what I need to have. And I think that accountability piece, the professors at Hope really, really walk that fine line really well. And I appreciate that. And then from a personal perspective, I think the spirituality aspect of Hope really brought something unique into my experience post-grad. I think I didn't, so if you have I had the list of things that attracted me about Hope. The faith aspect wasn't on that list for me. That was just something that Hope brought that I wasn't necessarily looking for. But through my time at Hope, I really appreciated the conversations, the raw emotion, and just realness of what it means to be a Christian, not only in today's world, but also when you exit, in a way, the bubble that Hope is. And I think people also acknowledge and are aware of kind of that culture that exists at Hope. And no one's afraid to kind of, ask tough questions about their faith and their spirituality and kind of where everyone's at. And on that note, it's incredibly welcoming. No matter where you are on that spectrum, I felt super welcomed, and I'm glad that I had that kind of faith experience through Hope, and that served me really well post-grad.
So for this last question, I'm going to challenge you all, keep this as to the point as you can. And I know it's hard because this is usually one of our favorite questions, but at some point you had to decide Hope. And so why for each you, why Hope? Kennedy, we'll start with you.
Sure. Why Hope? For me, at the end of the day, it comes down to the people here, and specifically, like you've heard from so many others now, the professors and the mentors, and the people who have challenged me and walked with me, given me opportunities. I've had so many profs who have seen things, or mentors who have seen things in me that I haven't even seen myself, and then offered me leadership positions. And now looking back a year later, it's like, oh my gosh, you saw that in me back when I had no idea. So the people, I think, who have made a place so far from home feel like home.
Yeah, so I'd also say the people, the location, and then the small class sizes. So like you said, people, they want you to have your own experience. They want to see you succeed. They want to see you do well. And I think even with your professors, when you respect them and they respect you, it makes you want to have a good work ethic in their class. And it kind of sets you up for success. Then the location is sweet. Being from Kansas, we don't have beaches, and there's a beach 5 minutes away. So that's super nice. Downtown is literally the street behind campus. Tons of restaurants and shops and coffee shops. So when you do want to get off campus, you don't have to have a car. You can just walk down there. So there's lots to do there. Then obviously small class sizes is awesome. I think average class size is 18. So that's a professor and then normally a TA in there as well. And so you get a lot of one-on-one interactions. So yeah.
I'll just kind of echo what Kennedy and Noah just said. I do think that the two biggest things are the small class sizes and the people. Coming from a school where my classes had 800 people, that is takes a lot of dedication to do well. The individualized education I feel like you get at Hope, which I think everyone kind of deserves, is unmatched. Classes are engaging, and you're able to have a really strong connection with your professors and professors from all different departments, which is super unique. And then the sense of community that you get at Hope. Even now, we're not on campus and we're all devastated that we can't be with each other. But we're still like keeping in contact with each other, having Zoom calls with the tour guides or with the sorority just so we can see each other. Like you get so close with these people, and yeah, totally different than any other school.
And just to echo again what everyone else is saying, the community at Hope is really kind of what drew me there. The people, the professors, and I think most importantly, Hope allowed me to do it all. I didn't have to choose. I was able to study abroad. I was able to be an athlete, be on the pre-med track, be in Greek life. Like I wanted to do it all, and Hope made that possible for me. So that's kind of why I chose Hope.
There we go. Yeah, I guess I'm going to answer this kind of in hindsight, which is always 2020, because this isn't necessarily the perspective I had as an 18-year-old or 17-year-old. But looking back on it, Hope was really the best investment. And that's one of the ways you can look at how you approach picking a college. I'm going to dedicate and spend 4 years of my life. Also, from a fiscal standpoint of paying, who am I going to be after those 4 years? And looking back on it, and even what I was shown when I was a senior in high school, Hope had the best opportunities to grow from an academic standpoint, a social standpoint, getting prepared to join the job market, and that's absolutely true. And I guess that's kind of why I answered from that framework. Now, it was the best investment when I compared it to the other colleges and universities that I was interested in.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, someone who was a transfer student after my freshman year coming to Hope, it was the family environment that everyone just welcomed you in no matter where you're at, and loved you and wanted to help push you and pursue you as you grew. So like we all talked about, it's a special place. It's a special place, and we're super excited for all the class of 2024 who's coming in next fall, and all those who are still deciding. So we have about 5 minutes. Let's take one or two questions. We have some questions from people coming in. I think one good one, this one we'll start with is, how were, anyone who wants to take this, how were your research and internship experiences during your time at Hope? So it could be for alumni, it could be for current students. Go ahead.
I'll just quickly say the internship I had after my junior year directly resulted in the job that I have now. It was I had an internship for a certain individual at this company, and then that individual, when his team opened up, he called me directly on the phone my senior year and said, "Hey, I don't know what your plans are post grad, but I got a job opening, and I want to see your name and your resume on my desk." So, and I ended up getting that job. So 100% directly correlated to what I'm doing post grad now.
And Roberto, did someone at Hope, how did you get the internship? What did that experience look like for you?
Yes, yeah, and it's the Boerigter Center now, because when I was there, it was went under a different name, but the center, that center from start to finish helped me. I remember, I mean, I was, I think, a freshman, and I walked into that center with a blank sheet of paper, and I said, "This is my resume. Please help me." And from scratch, I worked with Amy, I believe her name was, and I got a resume. And it started with my resume, then my cover letter, then a LinkedIn, then how to craft emails and network. And fast forward in junior year, I felt absolutely prepared to get a. I mean, I had 2 jobs the summers before then, which helped kind of build my resume. But the Boerigter Center was 100%. I attribute kind of that internship and landing that internship to the resources at that center.
That's awesome. All right, so the second question before we move on, any of you who wants to take this, can you talk about the faith community a little bit more? I know Roberto mentioned it a little bit. Was there someone who wants to take that and talk a little bit about that in more depth?
Yeah, I can touch on that. So I think something that Roberto said too, something I've really appreciated about the faith community is that it is something that's very present, but it's up to you how much you want to engage in it, if at all. So our chapel services are not required, but what you would see, and sadly we're not in session physically right now, but what you would see if you got to take a visit at Hope while things were in session is that it's standing room only in Dimnant. It's a big building with a balcony, and there are students always lining the aisles, and I've seen even like sitting in front sometimes. So the chapel experience is vibrant. We also have things like Bible studies and immersion trips, which are spring break trips around a faith organization kind of. And so I personally come from a strong Christian standpoint, and that was something that was important to me in college. I also have friends who have never taken part in it, but I know and I can say that if that's something that you want, you will be challenged. You will be able to ask hard questions, and you will be able to grow, kind of in the ways that you want to.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to start at this point of our event tonight. We're going to start to move towards our time with President Scogin. So as you see, some of our panelists are dropping off here. They'll be back towards the end. And if we weren't able to get to your question, we'll try to get to that towards the end here after we talk a little bit with President Scogin. But he's going to join us here in just a second.
Can you see me?
I cannot see you yet. I hear you.
Well, that's a start.
Well, Matt, as we're figuring it out, I know Jason's working hard in the background with you, but I just wanted to say from all of us at Admissions, we're thrilled to have you with us tonight. I know that you love doing fun things like this and talking about your Hope experience as a student, and then what it's like now as a president, and the hopes and dreams that you have for our campus and community. So I wanted to first say that, thank you. But second, once we get your video here, just for you to give a quick introduction about yourself and your time so far in your first year here at Hope. And then we'll move on to some questions.
Well, thanks for having me. Do you want me to try logging off and logging back on for a second?
Yeah, we can absolutely try that.
Maybe let's give that one try. Otherwise, we can just do audio. Okay. I'm not in a totally black room, I promise.
So looking at some of the questions, though, you guys did ask, I can take some of those. One of those was, what kind of computer do you recommend? I had an HP. Students have Apple, or I have an Apple now, an Apple computer now. A lot of times, I would honestly recommend with a computer for your resource, something that you feel comfortable with using. So if there's one that you've had before, I recommend getting something like that. Oh, here he is. You hear me? There we go. Awesome. Oh, then you're muted now.
Did we do it?
You already did it.
Yay!
Let's go.
We did it. Okay, thanks. Sorry, Roy. Re-ask your question, and then we're moving now.
Oh, absolutely. No, I just want to start with you, giving you an opportunity just to tell a little bit about yourself and a little bit, obviously, you're a Hope student, but now coming back and being president.
Yeah, thanks. So I grew up in Portage, Michigan, close to Kalamazoo, just about an hour south of here. I had the privilege of going to Hope College. I was here from 1998 to 2002 as a student. I studied political science and economics. I went on to graduate school at Harvard, and then I spent the first half of my career in government and the second half of my career in the business world. I was in New York City in the financial world for the last 11 years. And then I came back to Hope, came back home to Hope just last summer. So just about 8 or 9 months ago, I came back to Hope as president, and I'm just thrilled to be here. I love this institution. This institution changed my life when I was here as a student, and I just am so honored and excited to be here leading this institution into the future. Obviously, we're in a strange time now, but we will come through this and we'll be stronger and better for it. And I'm excited about the future.
Yeah, I think we're all super excited about what's already going on at Hope, and there's a lot to be excited for moving forward after we just get through this as a family, as a campus, and as a country. I am super excited tonight just to ask you some fun questions. I think
go for it.
A lot of times with our seniors, they've heard you speak maybe at a visit day, or maybe they met you at one of our events over the winter. But I thought this would be a great opportunity to get to hear a little bit about your own student experience too when you were a student.
Perfect.
So just to kick off, this is a fun one. If you look back at your Hope days, what is one of your most fond memories of your time at Hope?
I mean, I think it's hard to pick just one or two. My whole 4 years here was just magical. It really was. I did something called NYKIRK. So the pole was mentioned earlier. The pole and NYKIRK are two of our kind of long-standing traditions. The NYKIRK is this sort of competition. You can kind of think like America's Got Talent, except it's like an 80-year-old competition. It's between the freshmen and the sophomores, and there's a music component to it, a theater component to it, and an oration component to it. And it's the women who are competing, and then there's sort of male cheerleaders who are involved with it also. And I did that my freshman year. I actually met a girl who we started dating senior year, and she became my wife. So that's probably, if I had to pick one memory, it would be that whole experience. It's hard to top that. But the whole 4 years, to be honest, it was just, I just loved it here. And the amazing thing is what made Hope special for me 20 years ago when I was a student are still very true today. The things that make the culture great and that make this institution great are still very true today as they were 20 years ago when I was here as a student.
I'll ask you more about you and Sarah's story a little bit later.
Okay.
But I would, we asked alumni this as well, young alumni, Roberto and Rainey. But if you were to go back, obviously you just mentioned NYKIRK and obviously me and Sarah and going through that whole experience. But if there was one thing you would for sure do again, what would that be? And then also, what was something that you wish that you had done while you were a Hope student?
So I got involved in research and internships, and I'm so glad I did that. I think I got very involved academically. I got to know my professors very well, got as many internship opportunities as I could get my hands on, and I'm really glad I did that. I would 100% do that over again. I think one thing I wish I would have done that I didn't do is I wish I would have done, somebody else mentioned this earlier, I think I wish I would have done a semester overseas. And I did a semester in DC. I did an internship in DC while I was at Hope, but I wish I would have done something overseas. And Hope has, like over 100 programs overseas that you can do in literally all different parts of the world. And I just simply wish I would have taken advantage of one of those programs to go somewhere memorable and do something different. And I didn't. So that's one thing I would do over if I had the chance.
I think that was me. I said that. I went May term in Alaska for my seminar, and that was a blast. Like, it was incredible, but I would have loved a full broad experience.
Right.
But like I said earlier, I wanted to ask you more about you and Sarah. So how was the story? Tell us the story of how you guys met in college.
Well, let's see. We met, as I said, we met our freshman year. We were kind of friends for the whole time we were at Hope. We didn't start dating until it was our senior year. To be honest, I had a crush on her from the moment I met her, and she was dating somebody else. So I kind of had to like bide my time and wait patiently. And when they broke up, I moved in and showed her some of my smooth magic, and the rest was history. So it was, yeah, it was actually terrible. It was so nervous. I was so nervous at the beginning because I'd liked her for so long that when I really had a shot, I just really clammed up and was very nervous. And in reality, our first few dates were just awful, but she was gracious and kind of pushed through that. And it's great. I mean, it's so cool. We're back now. We have 3 young kids. And for Sarah and I to be at a place that obviously formed us as individuals, but it also formed us as a couple. And for us to be here now serving this institution and also raising our kids here, we have, as I said, 3 kids, 2 in elementary school, 1 in middle school. And it's just so cool. It's just so cool to be back here and to be raising our kids on the campus. We live on campus. To be raising our kids here at a place that, as I said, shaped us as individuals and as a couple.
Thanks for being willing to share that story. That's fun. I know that you had also wanted just some time to talk into our seniors and to talk into the ones who are coming for sure next year and the excitement that we have for them. But also those ones out there who are still deciding. Even a question just recently came in of someone asked President Scogin, how did hope change your life? And I think that's kind of what you want to talk about is this place changes lives. So yeah, I'll let you take forward that.
Yeah, let me talk a little bit of just kind of the overall question of why hope. First thing I'll say is simply, well, first of all, I'll just say thanks for hanging out. It's good to have all of you with us. Secondly, just say that I'm sorry for the way that your senior year has been disrupted. Obviously, this is not the way we would prefer to be engaging with you, but it's reality and we'll make the most of it. And so, yeah, I'm sorry that your senior year has been disrupted this way. I mean, the good news is you'll remember your senior year for the rest of your life. You would anyway, but this global crisis impacting literally every person in the world landing right on top of your senior year will certainly make this a memorable time. I think in terms of the question, why hope? I would kind of frame it in three big buckets. And this really probably is most relevant for students who are still deciding where to go. For students who have already locked in and decided on hope, we're so excited about that. If I haven't met you yet, I'm excited to meet you in the fall when you arrive as a freshman, and we're just really excited and looking forward to having you here. One thing I would say to students who've put down a deposit, if anything has changed with regard to your personal circumstance, so if somebody in your family has lost a job or if your income has taken a major hit as a result of what's going on in the world, make sure we know that, because if something has changed on your side, we can rerun your financial aid numbers. And so simply make sure we know if there's been a change on your side. For students who are still kind of weighing your options and trying to decide, let me talk a little bit about why hope. And as I said, I would kind of categorize it in three big buckets of things that I think make hope distinct. The first is that we're an institution, like a lot of liberal arts colleges, we're an old institution, but we're an old institution that's doing some new and innovative things. So Hope is 154 years old, which is pretty old. But we're also an institution that's doing some new things. And I think in some ways what I represent as the new president, not just a new president, but also a different kind of president. So I'm don't come from an academic background, as you heard my background. I spent my career in business and government, and that's unique. It's less than 20% of college presidents in the United States today who are non-PhD academics. And also I'm younger, maybe you can tell, I'm younger than a lot of college presidents. In fact, according to, and I have not fact checked this to be honest, so if it's not right, it's not my fault, but according to a woman at Harvard who's in the education program there, and she's coached and mentored a lot of college presidents, she says that I'm the youngest sitting college president in the United States. So maybe that's true, maybe it's not true. But at the very least, Hope has done something different here. And I think that what that represents is it's not about me, but it's about Hope as an institution trying to take this project, it's a very old project, the project of higher education, and to take that project and just try to take a bit of a new look at it and to try to look at it with a slightly different lens. And that's what Hope is doing, and that's what we're doing now, which I'm excited about. And I've come in as president over the last 8 or 9 months and kind of started to frame some different conversations that we haven't had at Hope before and that most other academic institutions have not historically had. So we've been talking about things like the future of learning. And even before this pandemic hit that pushed us all into remote learning, we were starting the conversation about what does the future of learning look like and what are the right tools of learning and what do smart classrooms look like and things like that. And so we had started this conversation well before this. We've also been talking a lot about the future of the workplace and how do we very actively and deliberately connect what we're doing in the classroom to what our students will do after they leave Hope. And that's a really important conversation. There was a Pew study done 2 years ago where they interviewed CEOs, and what they found is that only 11% of CEOs felt like the new hires who they were hiring just out of college were prepared for the working world. And so I think there's a sense among business leaders that a lot of business leaders sort of have to retrofit their new hires who are coming out of college for the working world. And we don't want that to be the case. I don't think that's the case now, but we're certainly very focused on that not being the case in the future, where our students will be very easily plug and play connected to the working world. And then the third thing we're talking about is the future business model of higher education. And I've made no qualms about the fact that I think higher education is too expensive, and we're very focused on trying to make what we do here at Hope more affordable, more accessible. And so we're having a lot of conversations about that. So that's the first thing I would say that I think makes Hope a unique and different place, is just that we're doing some fun things, some innovative things, some different things, having some different conversations. And in some ways, that as a different kind of college president, I think I sort of embody what is true at Hope as an institution, which is that we're taking this old and historic project called higher education, and we're simply trying to take a new look at it. That's the first thing. Second thing I would say is that this is a place, and hopefully you know this already, but it's worth reemphasizing, especially today, given what the world is going through. Hope is a place where you will be known. And you heard this from a lot of the stories from current students and recent alumni, where you just will be known here. And I think the reality is that can be true anywhere. You can go to a big university and you can become known there. Your professors can know you, and you can have lasting relationships with your professors. But the reality is it's much harder. It's much harder at big universities. And at Hope, it's actually very hard not to get that. It's like almost impossible to fall through the cracks here. And that's just cool. I think that's really cool. One of the things I love to do is just wander in, and in normal times, I do this 3 or 4 times a week, where I'll just wander into the cafeteria and plot myself down at a table with students and just have lunch or dinner with a group of students. And one of the questions I love to ask is the question, is there a professor here who you would like to stay in touch with for the rest of your life? And I've never once, not once, had a student say like, no, thanks, I'm good. I'm gonna move on and not talk to any of my professors again. A lot of people will say, yeah, there's like 3 or 4 people who I would like to stay in touch with for the rest of my life. And that's cool. That is just really cool. And that's the case all across. You heard this in a lot of the stories already, but it's the case all across our campus, where our faculty know our students. They know them personally. They help our students. And this was certainly true in my case. They help our students reach beyond their natural potential. And that's always been true at Hope. But I think what's really cool now is that given what the world is going through, this is a time when being known by your professors is all the more important. As we've all sort of been pushed off campus, and our students are now learning in their homes and learning through methods that we didn't necessarily sign up for. This is a time when it really matters to have your professor know who you are, to know your name and to know you personally, and to help our students journey through this strange and unprecedented time that we're living through. So that's a really cool thing. It's very, very true here at Hope, and I think that came across in some of the stories you heard. The third one, and this puts to the question that was just asked, the third thing I point to that makes Hope different is that Hope is a place that will transform your life. It will just change your life. And you should go to a college. When you're thinking about where to go to college, you should want to go to a college that will change your life. Like if your life is good to go as it is, then maybe you don't even need to go to college. You should go to a college that will put your life on a trajectory that you're not on right now. will just change you in that way, that will put you on a different kind of trajectory. And that is the case at Hope. It was certainly the case when I was here 20 years ago, and it's even more so the case now that Hope is just a place that changes lives, that transforms lives. And there's three things here that just change lives. The first is the obvious one, but it's worth pointing out the obvious. The academics here are excellent. Our academics are world class, and we're proud of that. We really are. I went to Harvard after Hope, and my story is not unique. Every single year, we send students from Hope to the top tier graduate school programs in the world. And that means that our academics can hang with the best schools in the world, and we're proud of that. The other thing that's true about our academics is that our academic model is a model that's 100% focused on teaching. So we have 274 members of our faculty. They wake up every single day excited about teaching, passionate about learning. And there are not a lot of places who can say that. A lot of places, what they're really passionate about is research, and teaching is how they pay the bills. And that's just not the case here. We are a place that's built 100% around teaching. Now, the cool thing is we have research too. And one of the questions asked about research, our research is excellent. It's very, very good. In fact, we're ranked 23rd in the nation by US News for undergraduate research. We're tied with Cornell, and we're right up there, if not ahead of some of the Ivy League schools. So our research is excellent, and it's recognized as such. But here's the cool thing. Our research here is a collaborative model, which means that our scholars, our faculty, are doing joint research with students, with undergraduate students. And that means that even our research here is a teaching tool. It's a way by which our faculty are working with students to learn together. And that's just cool. It's a distinct model. It's a different model. So that's the first thing that will change your life here at the academics. Second thing, and I won't pound this more because it's really been hit already. The people here are just phenomenal here, and the people will change your life. The people will get to know you. They will help you reach beyond your natural potential, and the people here are just phenomenal. And I had, like some of the other stories that were mentioned, I had a couple of professors who just spent hours and hours with me outside of the classroom to help me get internships, help me get into graduate school, and they changed my life. My life would not be have been on the trajectory that I was on if it had not been for them. The third thing, and this was mentioned a little bit, although not a lot, so I really want to hit this one. The third thing that will change your life at Hope is our faith environment. And the faith environment, and Kennedy mentioned this a little bit, the faith environment at Hope is really different. It's really distinct because we have a authentic, vibrant faith environment. And yet it's not pushed on anybody. It's there, it's very, very real. It's hard not to bump into it. We are a Christian college, and we are not ashamed of that. That's our mission. We talk about it all the time, and yet it's not pushed on anybody in a forceful way. So Kennedy mentioned our chapel programs. 4 times a week, our chapel, if you've been here on campus, you've seen it's a huge building. It holds 1,400 people, and 4 times a week, it's packed with people who are there voluntarily. They're there because they want to be there. They're not there because they have to be there. And that makes those chapel services very, very real and authentic because nobody's on their phones. Everybody's paying attention. They're listening. They're worshiping, and it's cool and it's real. So our faith environment is that. It's one that's based on opportunities. It's not based on requirements. And it's hard to avoid the opportunities. I guess if you really tried hard, you could do it. But the opportunities are there, and they're very, very real. And at the end of the day, here's why we think this is important. We actually think that you can't truly know yourself unless you know your creator. And we also think that you can't get to know your creator if it's in a very forced, rigid, sort of required kind of way. You have to create the environment whereby people want to ask the questions and want to get to know their creator. And that's just cool. That's just distinct. I think what makes Hope special when it comes to the faith environment is that we are not a prescriptive Bible college, and we're not a secular college. We are a Christian college, but we're a Christian college that's based on opportunities, not requirements. And at the end of the day, as I said, we think that allows you to truly get to know yourself because you truly get to know your creator. And that's just cool. That's really cool. We believe that God made every single person for a reason. Psalm 139 says he knit us together, he handmade us. And that means he made us for a reason. And that's why we talk about calling. That's why we renamed the old Career Services Office into the Center for Calling and Career, because we believe everybody has a calling, a purpose. And we believe that part of our purpose is to help our students discover their purpose. And I think that's different. I think that's distinct. I don't think there's a lot of academic institutions that talk about their purpose that way. Rourke, sorry, I went on for a bit longer than I intended to, but I get passionate when I talk about this place because it's just an amazing, remarkable place. And so I'll leave it there. You can ask some other questions if stuff has come through. But I'll simply say this, that I'm excited to have you at Hope. I talked about our professors getting to know you. I also would like to get to know you, and I'm excited to do that. I hope that you will that you will come here, that you'll put your deposit in, and that you will come here in the fall. And I just can't tell you how excited I am about the prospect of having you here and getting to know you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. I think I can speak on behalf of everyone at Hope and the students at Hope and all the Hope alumni. We're super proud and thankful that you're here leading us, and the excitement and energy that you bring for Hope and in the future. I think excites all of us. And so I think, yeah, we're super thankful for you and your leadership. So thanks so much for that and spending time, because I know that you're not a very easy to get to man. I know you're busy these days. So thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me. It's an honor to hang out, and appreciate everybody checking in with us. You know where to find us. If you've got questions, feel free to reach out anytime. And as I said, if you've applied and been given financial aid and something has changed on your end because of what we're going through, please make sure that we know that, because we can rerun your financial aid numbers.
And so we're getting to the point now, we're getting close to an hour, so we don't want to have this run too long for everyone at home. But we did have some questions come in that I think it would be great to spend a little bit of time on. We can ask a few questions here before we close up. Rainey, I think this would be a good question for you. Came in, someone asked, how do you balance classes and athletics?
Okay, so let me just start by saying at Hope, they are very willing to work with you. If anything, I always say that being an athlete kind of structured my day more. I did have sometimes 2-a-days, so we would have 6 a.m. practice before class, like lifting or sprinting, and then in the afternoon is like your regular practice, and there were off-season practices too. But there were some times where I was just overwhelmed, I was stressed, and all I had to do was talk to my coach. At Hope, academics come first. She would let me miss practices to go meet with my professors. That's the beautiful thing about D3 sports, is you're a student first and then an athlete. So again, I needed that structure for my day. I needed to get going. And it was also kind of like a de-stressor for me while I was at school. So yeah, it's definitely doable. And especially at Hope, all of the coaches are on the same page. You are a student first, but you can also be competitive still too.
Awesome. I would say, and that's a good one, could be some students talking about commuting to school and others talking about living on campus. Can you guys, or can one person talk, just hit on, I guess, the community that you do experience if you are living on campus? Of course, if commuting is the option that you take to make it work for you to go to Hope, absolutely. But if you're deciding between the two and both are on the table, I think it's important to talk about that community. So does anyone want to take just campus life overall and being a part of that?
Yeah, I can say a little bit about that. So we kind of have a joke as students on campus that you have a harder time trying to decide which thing you're going to be a part of on the weekends than you do trying to find something to do. We have a group called SAC, which is our Student Activities Committee. It's all student run, and it's their job to put on events both during the week and on every single weekend on campus. So, and it's a really high percentage of students who, even though they might be local, stick around on the weekends, because It's during the week that you're in class, but it's on the weekends really that you're doing the things that create memories and create deeper relationships with your people. And I just will say that as somebody who came far away to school and didn't have the option of going home, that's something I've really appreciated, is just how many students stick around. And it's something that even if you are a commuter student, there are events that are advertised well enough in advance that if there are things that you want to stick around for on the weekends, you definitely have that option as well.
Awesome. Well, I think we'll probably wrap up there, getting a little over an hour here. We are just so thankful for all you guys joining in and spending some time with us this evening. Like I said earlier, this is the first part of a 6-part series. So please join in on the following dates, the 13th, the 14th, 15th, 16th, and the 20th. We're keeping this train running, and we want to keep showing you guys more aspects of hope and other things to introduce you to. So if we didn't get to your question tonight, I'm sorry. Please feel free to reach out to your admissions rep with your question. If there's any question that you guys have for any of the panelists, please reach out to your rep or to admissions, and we'd love to connect you guys with them. We can do that over email. We'd love to follow up on anything that you guys have questions about. So as with that, I just want to say thank you again. Thank you to all of the panelists. Thank you guys for joining us, taking time of your own nights. And we're excited to keep this train running with the Evening with Hope series. So we'll plan on seeing you guys next week. But till then, stay healthy, keep the good spirits. God bless and go hope. So we'll see you soon.
Go Hope.